The steam choked the air like a guilty secret, thick and unforgiving in the RV's coffin-sized shower. Jonathan's fingers trembled as he traced the line of my jaw, his breath hot against my lips. "Austin, we can't keep pretending," and in that instant, the world outside the humming desert highway shattered, leaving only the roar of water and the thunder of my heart confessing what words never could. I shoved him back against the tiled wall, not in anger but in desperation, our bodies colliding like two storms long overdue for collision. And as his mouth crashed into mine, salty and fierce, I tasted the betrayal we'd both been running from, the lie that we were just friends on this endless American road trip. But freedom has a price, and ours was etched in the rearview mirror, a trail of dust from Austin, Texas, where Jonathan's family waited like loaded guns, ready to fire at the first sign of the truth we just unleashed in a spray of lukewarm water and shattered silence. The summer of 2025 hit like a freight train barreling through the flatlands of West Texas, all heat and haze and the kind of boredom that makes a guy question if he's living or just killing time. I was Austin Hale, 28, a freelance graphic designer who'd traded the cubicle grind for the open road after my last breakup left me scrolling Grindr at 3 a.m. in a one-bedroom in Dallas. My best friend Jonathan Reyes, Johnny to everyone who mattered, had pitched the idea over cheap IPAs at a dive bar off I-35. "Screw it, US. Let's buy a beat-up RV and chase the horizon. No schedules, no bullshit. Just us, the miles, and whatever's playing on the satellite radio." Johnny was the yin to my yang, the steady pulse in my chaotic rhythm. 6'2", with that effortless Latino swagger from his El Paso roots, dark curls that fell just shy of his collar, hazel eyes that could pin you with a glance, and a laugh that rumbled like thunder over the plains. We'd met freshman year at UT Austin, bonding over bad poetry slams and worse hangovers. He was the straight-A poli-sci major with dreams of law school. I was the art kid doodling queer manifestos in the margins of my sketchbook. Through it all, we'd been each other's anchor, through his folks' divorce, my coming out at 19 that nearly got me disowned, the pandemic lockdowns that turned our friendship into a lifeline via Zoom. But this trip, it was supposed to be our victory lap. I just landed a remote gig designing album covers for some indie label in Brooklyn. He was taking a gap year before the LSAT, soul searching or some shit. We scraped together $5,000 between us, snagged a 1998 Winnebago from a Craigslist ad in Abilene, runs like a dream, minor rust, and hit the road on June 1st, aiming for the Pacific by Labor Day. Playlist curated. Springsteen for the Heartland, Lana Del Rey for the breakdowns, Bad Bunny for the nights we cranked the AC and danced in the dinette like idiots. First week was pure bliss. We blasted out of Texas into New Mexico, windows down, wind whipping our faces as we argued over the best to carry us and who owed who for gas. Johnny drove like he owned the asphalt, one hand on the wheel, the other drumming beats on his thigh, while I navigated via a glitchy app on my phone. We'd pull over at roadside attractions, the Cadillac Ranch outside Amarillo, where we spray-painted our initials on the buried noses of those finned relics, the Carlsbad Caverns, descending into that underworld of stalactites that felt like stepping into our own psyches, vast and echoing with unspoken fears. Nights were for campfires and confessions. We'd park at BLM land, far from the grid, and Johnny would unpack his guitar, strumming covers of Wagon Wheel while I roasted marshmallows until they caught fire. That's when the stories spilled out, the girls he dated in college, all fire and fleeting, the family pressure back home, his dad calling him Iho with that edge of expectation, like marriage and grandkids were the only markers of manhood. I'd nod, sipping from a flask of bourbon, sharing my own ghosts. The ex who ghosted me after a Pride Parade hookup gone viral on his Instagram story. The lingering ache of rejection from my Bible Belt mom who'd whispered pray on it like it was a cure for who I was. There was always something simmering under our banter, though, a brush of shoulders that lingered too long, a gaze held across the cab that sparked like a live wire. I'd catch myself staring at the way his tank top clung after a swim in some dusty creek, the V of his chest dusted with dark hair, and I'd look away, heart hammering, blaming the heat. Johnny, for his part, played it cool, but I'd see him falter, once, at a gas station in Tucumcari, when a trucker catcalled me and he stepped up, arm around my waist, growling back off with a possessiveness that wasn't just bro code. By the time we hit Arizona, the RV was our third wheel, rattling like it had opinions on our itinerary. The shower was the real joke, a narrow tube barely wide enough for one, with a nozzle that spat water like it was pissed about being woken up. We'd been showering at truck stops mostly, but after a brutal hike at Saguaro National Park, cacti standing sentinel like ancient guardians, we were both caked in red dirt and sweat, the kind that itches into your soul. Yo, US, check this out, Johnny said that evening, as the sun dipped low over the Sonoran Desert, painting the sky in strokes of bruised purple. We were parked at a free disperse site off Route 66, the kind of spot where tumbleweeds roll like drunk ghosts and the silence presses in. He was shirtless, towel slung over his shoulder, gesturing to the RV's side door with that grin of his, the one that said, "Trust me, this'll be epic." I finally figured out how to rig the water pump. Showers operational. Ladies first? Nah, screw that, you go. I'll guard the perimeter from coyotes. I laughed, stripping off my hike-stink socks in the cramped living area. Guard? From what? Your ego? Pass. You first, princess. I need a beer break, he shrugged, all casual nonchalance, and ducked into the bathroom annex, the door clicking shut behind him. I heard the hiss of water starting up, then his muffled curse. Son of a bitch, it's freezing, followed by a laugh that echoed off the fiberglass walls. Minutes ticked by, the playlist shuffling to Take Me Home, Country Roads, and I found myself pacing, the desert air cooling fast through the screen vents. Why was my pulse racing? It was just a shower. Just Johnny. Then the door cracked open, steam billowing out like smoke from a speakeasy. "AOS," he called, voice low, edged with something I couldn't place. Nerves? Amusement? Get in here. This tiny, man. Like, submarine tiny. You gotta see this shit. I froze, beer halfway to my lips. See what? Your victory dance. Just, come on. There was a pause, the water still running. Please, against every instinct screaming abort mission, I stepped to the door, pushed it open. And there he was, in that sardine can space, water sluicing over his broad shoulders, rivulets tracing the lean muscles of his back, down to the dimples above his ass. He hadn't closed the curtain all the way. It hung crooked, framing him like some forbidden exhibit. His head turned, water dripping from his lashes, and those hazel eyes locked on mine. Not playful, not joking. Hungry. "Johnny, what the? Join me," he said, simple as that, like it was the most natural request in the world. His hand extended, palm up, steam curling around his fingers. "It's too damn small alone. And we're out of hot water vouchers till Flagstaff." My throat went desert dry. This was Johnny. My friend. The guy who'd held my hand through panic attacks, who'd crashed on my couch after his sister's wedding where he'd played the perfect straight son. But here, in the humid haze, with the desert whispering outside, the lines we'd drawn in sand felt as fragile as the RV's shocks. I should have backed out, laughed it off. But his gaze pulled me in, a current stronger than the Rio Grande. I stripped shorts, boxers hitting the floor in a heap, and stepped under the spray, the water shockingly warm now, enveloping us both. The space forced us close, chest to chest, thighs brushing, no room for denial. His breath hitched as my hands found his waist, steadying us both against the sway of the RV. "AUS," he murmured, forehead pressing to mine, water sheeting down our faces. "I've been wanting." The kiss hit like monsoon rain, fierce, unrelenting. His lips parted mine with an urgency that tasted of salt and stardust, tongues tangling in a dance we'd rehearsed in dreams but never dared awake. My fingers dug into his wet hair, pulling him closer, and he groaned into my mouth, a sound that vibrated through me like bass from the subwoofers we'd blasted at Coachella knockoffs. Hands roamed, his over my chest, tracing the tattoo of a lone star I'd inked after coming out. Mine down his back, gripping the curve of his hip, feeling him harden against me. We moved like we'd always known how, slow at first, exploratory, then building to a rhythm that fogged the mirror and steamed the glass. He dropped to his knees, water pounding his shoulders, and took me in his mouth with a reverence that broke something open in my chest. Love, raw and unfiltered, the kind that poets chase and fools fear. I came undone with his name on my lips, and when he rose, I returned the favor, savoring the hitch in his breath, the way he whispered fuck, Austin like a prayer. After, we didn't speak, just held each other under the cooling spray until the tank ran dry, then tumbled out, dripping and dazed, wrapping in the single towel we shared like a truce flag. We collapsed on the fold-out bed in the back, the desert night folding around us, and for the first time, sleep came easy, his arms slung over my waist, our legs entwined. But dawn brings clarity, and with it, the first crack in our fragile new world. The morning after the shower, the desert woke us with a vengeance. Coyotes yipping like they knew our sins, the sun clawing over the horizon like it had a grudge. I stirred first, Johnny's breath warm against my neck, his body curled into mine like we'd been carved from the same block of stone. For a heartbeat, it was perfect, the scent of him, soap and sweat and something uniquely Johnny, mingling with the faint diesel tang of the RV. I traced the line of his arm, the fine hairs standing in the chill, and thought, this is it. This is what I've been chasing. He mumbled something incoherent, nuzzling closer, and I smiled into the tangle of sheets. "Morning, stranger," I whispered, pressing a kiss to his shoulder. His eyes fluttered open, hazy with sleep, and for a split second, pure joy lit his face, the kind that reaches into your marrow. Then it shifted. His body tensed, just a fraction, but enough to send a chill through me colder than the night air. He pulled back, sitting up abruptly, the sheet pooling at his waist. "AUS. Shit. Last night." "Hey," I said, reaching for him, but he was already swinging his legs off the bed, grabbing his jeans from the floor. "It was good, Johnny." "We are good." He paused, back to me, shoulders knotted like barbed wire. "Yeah, good. But we gotta hit the road. Flagstaff by noon if we want to make that brew pub you keep yapping about." His voice was light, forced, the casual Johnny mask slipping back into place. No eye contact as he yanked on his shirt, whistling off-key to fill the silence. I watched him, stomach twisting. This wasn't regret. Not exactly. It was fear, the kind that festers in the gut of every queer kid raised on don't ask, don't tell vibes, even in progressive Austin. Johnny's family was old-school Mexican-American. Catholic Mass every Sunday. Familia above all. And queerness? That was the whisper you buried under machismo and migration stories. I'd seen him scroll past rainbow flags at protests, muttering "not my fight," even as he'd march for Black Lives Matter or Dreamers. We packed up in terse efficiency, coffee black and bitter, playlist skipping to the Nationals' fake empire like it was mocking us. As he fired up the engine, gravel crunching under the tires, I slid into the passenger seat, forcing a grin. So, about that shower. 5 stars. Would recommend. He snorted, but it didn't reach his eyes. Yeah, well, don't get used to it. Next stop, motel with actual plumbing. The drive through Arizona was a blur of Red Rock Canyons and Route 66 kitsch, giant Paul Bunyan statues waving us west, diners slinging green chili cheeseburgers that burned going down. We talked surface level, podcast recs, NBA playoffs, Mavs over Lakers. Duh. The conspiracy theory about Bigfoot haunting the Grand Canyon that had us cracking up till my sides hurt. But the undercurrent hummed, electric and unspoken, every gear shift a reminder of hands that had explored more than maps. By Flagstaff, the altitude thinned the air and thickened the tension. We checked into a kitschy motor lodge off the interstate, pine shadows in, neon sign flickering like a bad omen, splurging on 2 doubles because boundaries, apparently. Dinner at the brewpub was craft IPAs and elk burgers, Johnny charming the bartender with his El Paso drawl while I sketched the crowd on a napkin. Flannel-clad hikers, a queer couple holding hands without a care. Envy pricked me. Why couldn't we? Back at the room separate, but doors adjoining like a half-hearted compromise. He knocked once, slipped in wearing boxers and a hoodie, carrying a 6-pack. Truce? He said, flopping onto my bed, the mattress dipping under his weight. I took a beer, clinking bottles. To road trips and bad decisions. We drank in companionable quiet at first. Then the words tumbled out, his, mostly. How the shower had cracked him open. How he'd fantasized about me since that night in college when we'd gotten blackout drunk and woke up spooning, blaming the tequila. I thought it was just curiosity. Bro stuff. But it's more. U.S. You're more. His hand found mine, thumb stroking my knuckles, and the dam broke. We kissed slow this time, exploratory, like mapping a new state line. Clothes shed in layers. His body familiar now but no less thrilling, the freckles across his collarbone I'd never noticed, the scar on his rib from a childhood bike wreck. We made love with the windows cracked, pine-scented breeze whispering through, his whispers in Spanish, Te quiero, mi amor, that undid me more than any English ever could. Afterward, tangled in the cheap motel sheets, he traced patterns on my chest. What if we keep going, after the coast? Just Portland or Seattle. Start over. My heart swelled, but doubt nipped at its heels. Your family. Fuck 'em, he said, fierce, but his eyes betrayed the lie. This is my life. We left Flagstaff the next day with tentative plans scribbled on a post-it, job hunts in the PNW, a shared apartment with exposed brick and a view of the Sound. The road climbed into Utah, canyons giving way to slick rock arches that arched like questions over our heads. Johnny drove more, singing off-key to Fleetwood Mac, his hand on my thigh when the curves straightened. I let myself believe it, the dream of domesticity, coffee runs and Sunday hikes, two gay guys building a life in the liberal Northwest, far from Texas scrutiny. But America has a way of testing your illusions, and ours cracked wide open in Moab. We'd planned a Jeep tour through Arches National Park, but a flash flood warning rerouted us to a dive bar on the outskirts, Red Rock Saloon, all peanut shells and peanut gallery locals. It started innocent. Pool table, shots of mezcal, Johnny schooling me on 8-ball like the hustler he was. Then this cowboy-type, boots, Stetson, the works sidled up, clapping Johnny on the back. Reyes? No shit, man. Johnny from EP? We ran track together at UTEP summer camp. 15. Johnny's face lit up. Genuine. Holy hell. Brody, what the fuck are you doing in Utah? Brody was all-American beefcake. Blonde buzz cut, jaw like a superhero, the kind of guy who probably voted red but tipped well. They hugged it out, reminiscing about relay races and keggers, and I nursed my beer in the corner, the third wheel in my own story. When Brody's eyes flicked to me, appraising, lingering, I felt the shift, like the bar's dim lights had spotlit our secret. Turns out Brody was in town for a rodeo circuit, crashing with buddies at a nearby ranch. Crash with us tonight, he insisted, arm around Johnny's shoulders. We got a fire pit, guitars, the works. For old times. Johnny glanced at me, hesitant. AUS, I shrugged, playing it cool. Hell yeah. Beats another night of your snoring. The ranch was a spread of dust and dreams. Fenced pastures under a Milky Way so thick it felt edible. Brody's crew, 4 other guys, all ex-athletes turned roughnecks, beers flowing like the Colorado River. They ribbed Johnny about his fancy RV life, and he bantered back, slipping into that easy machismo I'd always envied a little. I hung on the periphery, chatting with a quiet vet named Cal about national parks, but the undercurrent pulled. Brody's hand on Johnny's knee during a story, the way Johnny leaned into it, laughing louder than necessary. Around the fire, guitars came out, Brody strumming Dylan, Johnny harmonizing with that voice of his, rich as adobe. I joined in on a chorus of Wonderwall, our eyes meeting over the flames, private spark. But then Brody slung an arm around Johnny, pulling him close for a photo. For the gram, boys, and something soured in my gut. Johnny didn't pull away. Midnight hit, and the group dispersed to tents and bunks. Johnny and I claimed a corner of the barn loft, hayloft romance under the stars, but his kisses were distracted, his mind elsewhere. You okay? I asked, propping on an elbow. Yeah, just... Brody's cool. Reminds me of home. He rolled away, back to me. Night, ouse, sleep evaded me, the crickets mocking my unease. At dawn, I woke to an empty space beside me. Slipped down the ladder, barefoot in the chill, and there they were, Johnny and Brody by the corral, heads bent close over coffee mugs, Brody's hand on his arm, lingering. Johnny laughed, soft, intimate, and leaned in, their foreheads touching for a beat too long. It wasn't a kiss, but it was enough. Betrayal's first whisper, sharp as a cactus spine. Utah's red dust clung to everything after Moab, the RV's undercarriage groaning like it shared my grudge, our clothes carrying the faint char of that ranch fire. We rolled out early, Johnny behind the wheel with aviators hiding his eyes. Radio tuned to classic rock anthems that screamed freedom but felt like chains. I stared out at the receding arches, those natural bridges mocking the fragile one we'd built, and finally broke the silence over a gas stop in Green River. What was that back there? With Brody. He pumped unleaded, jaw tight. What? Catching up? Man. Old friends. Friends don't touch like that. The words hung, accusatory, and I hated how small they made me sound. Johnny capped the tank, turning slow. Jealous, came out half joke, half jab, but his eyes searched mine, pleading for absolution. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just tired of the hot and cold. I climbed back in, slamming the door harder than intended. The drive to Colorado was a minefield. Long silences punctuated by forced chit-chat about Arch's delicate arch hike we'd skipped, the best weed strains for altitude sickness. By Denver, the Rockies loomed like judgmental elders, and we'd agreed, unspoken, to table it, drowning the awkward in a night at a queer-friendly bar in Lodo. The spot was the damned spot, all exposed brick and rainbow flags, a haven for mountain queers nursing craft cocktails and grudges. We posted up at the bar, Johnny ordering whiskey neat, me a gin and tonic with extra lime sharp, like my mood. The crowd was electric. Leather daddies two-stepping to drag queen covers of Patsy Cline, couples canoodling in booths without a care. It should have been our element, but Johnny scanned the room like a fugitive, shoulders hunched. Loosen up, I said, clinking glasses. No one's out to get you here. He downed his shot, signaling for another. Easy for you to say. You've had years to practice this shit. The barb stung, my coming out at 20, versus his whispered admissions in motel beds. Practice? Try getting your tires slashed outside a honky-tonk for holding a guy's hand. Or your mom mailing you reparative therapy pamphlets like it's a birthday gift. I was tipsy, voice rising, but the hurt fueled it. I'm not the enemy, Johnny, his face crumpled, hand covering mine on the sticky bar top. I know. God, US, I'm sorry. It's just... Brody texted. Wants to link up in Vegas. Rodeos swinging through, my blood iced. And nothing. But it got me thinking about home, expectations. What if this us is just a phase, a road trip fling? The words landed like a sucker punch. I yanked my hand away, the bar's throb fading to white noise. A phase. Right? Because straight-passing Latinos don't do gay. Sarcasm dripped, bitter as the gin. That's not. He stopped, rubbing his temples. Fuck. Let's get out of here. We stumbled back to the RV parked in a Walmart lot. Classy. I know, tension crackling like a storm front. Inside, it erupted. Me pacing the galley, him slumped on the dinette bench. You kissed me in that shower, Johnny. Said you loved me. Was that the phase too? No, it's real. You're real. He stood, closing the distance, hands framing my face. But my dad's sick prostate, stage 2. He called while you were napping in Moab. Wants me home for his birthday next month. To talk succession, like the garage is some empire. Empathy warred with anger. His old man owned an auto shop in El Paso, the kind with faded Reyes repair sign and oil stains like family crests. So what? Tell him. We're worth it. His laugh was hollow. Tell him? The guy who burned my Harry Potter books for witchcraft. US, you don't get it. Family's everything. If I lose them, you lose yourself. I finished. deflating. We collapsed onto the bed, not lovers but survivors, his head on my chest as I stroked his hair. We'll figure it. 1 mile at a time. Colorado blurred into Wyoming. Yellowstone's geysers erupting like our tempers. Bison jams that forced us to talk or suffocate. We hiked to Old Faithful, steam rising like our size. And there, on a basalt ledge, he came clean. Brody wasn't just an old track buddy. They'd hooked up once. Sophomore year at a UTEP party, drunk, experimental, buried under it was college. It meant nothing, Johnny said, voice cracking. But seeing him stirred shit up. Made me question if I'm bi or what. The confession was a bomb and a blade. Question away, I said, pulling him close as mist from the geyser dampened our shirts. Just don't question us. We pushed west, the RV's AC wheezing against the heat, stopping in Idaho for huckleberry pie at a roadside diner where the waitress called us "you two lovebirds," with a wink that made Johnny blush crimson. Laughter bridged the gaps, but cracks spiderwebbed. His phone buzzing with texts from Brody. Missed the ranch vibes. Bro. Vegas. That he'd delete with guilty swipes. I catch him staring at the horizon, not with wonder but worry, the Pacific a promise he half doubted. By Oregon, the forests thickened like our secrets, evergreens whispering judgments as we wound the Columbia River Gorge. Multnomah Falls thundered down basalt cliffs, a veil of water that mirrored my mood. Beautiful, but relentless. We parked at a viewpoint, rain pattering the roof like impatient fingers, and made love in the cab, frantic, reclaiming, his body arching under mine as thunder rolled. I choose you, he gasped, nails raking my back. Every time, but choice is a luxury, and betrayal waits in the blind spots. Portland greeted us with drizzle and hipster haven. Food carts slinging bison bow, craft breweries with names like Hopocalypse Now. We splurged on an Airbnb, a tiny A-frame in the hills, fairy lights strung like hopeful stars. For a week, it was Eden. Farmers markets hand in hand, discreetly. Hikes in Forest Park where he'd carve our initials into a cedar. Nights tangled in flannel sheets with takeout pad thai and the L-word marathons. He even updated his Grindr bio, exploring with my guy, a small rebellion that had me tearing up over morning coffee. Then the call came. His sister, Maria, voice tight on speaker, Papa's worse. Doctors say chemo soon. He needs you, Johnny. Now. Silence stretched. Then his whisper, I'll book a flight. The A-frame felt like a cage after. He paced, packing a duffel with mechanical precision, while I brewed tea we wouldn't drink. Go, I said, throat thick. Family first. I'll hold the fort, drive slow to the coast. Meet you in Cali after. His hug was bone-crushing. 2 weeks, max. Then we talk future. Portland future. The kiss at PDX was airport cliché. Desperate, public, his tears salting my lips. Alone, the RV echoed. I pushed to the Oregon coast. Waves crashing like accusations at Cannon Beach. Haystack Rock standing sentinel as I journaled doubts in the sand. Texts from Johnny. Landed safe. Dad's a fighter. Miss you. Heart emojis. But delays piled. Chemo complications. Maria's wedding drama. 1 more week. 3 weeks in. Vegas loomed on the itinerary. A detour for fun, he'd said. I arrived at the Strip's fluorescent frenzy. Neon bleeding into the desert night. And checked the Flamingo. Kitschy. Overpriced. Perfect for drowning sorrows. No Johnny. Text, stuck in EP. Rain check. Rain check my ass. I hit the casino floor, slots chiming like false promises. Then the club's omnia, with its throbbing bass and shirtless go-go boys that blurred into Johnny's silhouette. Bourbon blurred the edges, and that's when I saw him, not in flesh, but on a buddy's Instagram story, geotagged Vegas nights. Johnny, arm around Brody at a pool party, wet trunks, beers raised, grins wide. Caption: reunited and it feels so good, brothers before hoes. The betrayal hit like a slot jackpot, blinding, hollow. I scrolled deeper. DMs leaked in a group chat screenshot. Brody's can't wait to show you the sweet, like old times. Johnny's reply, hell yeah. US is chill. Won't mind. Chill. I wasn't chill. I was combustible. Vegas in late July is a fever dream. Heat rising in mirages off the pavement. The Strip a vein of vice pulsing with desperate dreamers. I crashed through the casino doors at dawn, head pounding from a night of bad decisions. Tequila shots with a drag queen named Ruby who counseled honey. Cut the cord and aimed straight for the airport shuttle. No goodbyes. No notes. Just a single text to Johnny. Enjoy the suite. I'm out. Then I blocked him, the digital guillotine severing what the shower had forged. The RV became my escape pod, barreling west on I-15 toward California, the Mojave swallowing my rage like it was born of sandstorms. I blasted punk rock, Green Day's American Idiot, ironic as hell, and screamed lyrics till my throat rawed. How had I missed it? The signs. His lingering glances at Brody. The deleted texts. The phase talk that was code for panic. We'd built this bubble on the road, fragile as the Winnebago's windshield cracks, and one prick from home had popped it. Barstow offered no solace, a trucker motel with thin walls and regret thicker than the fog. I showered alone, the water scalding, tracing ghosts of his touch on my skin. Sleep came in fits, dreams of the ranch fire, Brody's arm around him, my voice yelling liar into the void. Woke to a voicemail, unblocked in a weak moment, from Maria. Austin? It's Johnny's sister. He's messed up. Says you left without a word. Call him, por favor. Papa's stable. But Johnny's not. Guilt gnawed. But anger armored me. I hit the coast at Santa Barbara. The Pacific a glittering tease under the sun. Waves curling like invitations I ignored. Parked at a bluff overlook. Engine ticking cool. And finally called. He picked up on the first ring. Voice wrecked. AUS? Thank God. Where are you? California. Alone. Flat. Factual. A beat of static. Then, the pic. It's not what it looks like. Brody ambushed me at the airport. Said it was a surprise send-off before I flew home. Nothing happened. I swear. Save it. The bluff wind howled, mirroring my pulse. You lied. About the flight, the delay. Chose your bros over us. AUS, please. Dad's chemo started. Panicked. Needed. Normalcy. His sob cracked through the line. I love you. Fly back. We'll fix this. Love. The word that had hooked me now barbed. Normalcy? That's code for straight washing. I'm done being your experiment. Click. Silence. The ocean roared approval. I zigzagged the coast. Big Sur's cliffs a vertigo of beauty and breakdown. Monterey's aquarium a reminder of depths I'd plumbed with him. Friends from my freelance circle pinged. Heard you're in CA. Crash with us? But solitude suited the wound. I sketched feverishly, charcoal nudes of Johnny's ghost, abstracts of shattered RVs tumbling off highways. By San Francisco, the fog rolled in like depression's cousin, and I holed up in a Haight-Ashbury hostel, walls papered in Grateful Dead posters that preached let it go. That's where the humanity crept back in. A group hike up Twin Peaks, organized by the hostel, Mismatched Souls. A trans kid from Seattle fleeing family, a divorced dad from Chicago seeking reinvention, me with my sketchpad and scabs. At the summit, city sprawled below like a circuit board of second chances. The dad, Mark, mid-40s, salt and pepper beard, shared his story. Came out at 42, lost his wife but gained his kids' respect. Betrayal's a teacher, he said, clapping my shoulder. Teaches you to betray yourself less. His words echoed as I drove south, the RV's miles ticking toward LA's sprawl. Johnny's texts piled up. I'm sorry. In therapy. Come home. But I archived them, focusing on the road's therapy. Sunsets over Malibu, where surfers carved waves like I wished to carve out the hurt. A chance encounter at a Venice Beach bonfire. A gallery owner spotting my sketches, offering a pop-up show. Queer Visions, Road to Self. Felt like kismet or karma. The show was small, raw, 20 pieces born of our trip, priced like therapy sessions. Opening night, the loft hummed, art crowd sipping rose, murmurs of visceral and authentic. I wore a button-down unbuttoned just enough, nursing a seltzer, when the door swung open and there he was, Johnny, travel-worn in a hoodie and jeans, eyes scanning like a man lost at sea. Our gazes locked across the room, the air thickening. He wove through admirers, stopping before my centerpiece, a mixed media of the RV shower, steam and shadows suggesting bodies entwined, titled Confession in Confines. AUS, he breathed, voice rough. This is us. Yeah. Guard up, but cracking. All of it. The high, the hurt. He swallowed, hands in pockets. I flew in this morning. Maria helped, said I was an idiot to let you go. A pause, eyes glistening. I saw a therapist in El Paso. Twice. Told my dad. Not everything, but about questioning. He hugged me, called me Iho without the lecture. Progress. But wounds fester. And Brody, blocked. Told him it was a mistake, then and now. I'm bi, US. Or gay. Or whatever. I'm yours. His hand reached, tentative. If you'll have me. The room faded, the clink of glasses, the jazz quartet to just us, echoes of the desert night. I stepped into his space, breath mingling. Prove it. The kiss was public, unapologetic. Slow burn to wildfire, his hands cupping my face like the first time. Whistles from the crowd. A wolf howl from the trans kid I'd met in SF. We broke apart, foreheads touching, and for the first time, I believed in redemption. But America doesn't hand out happy endings without a fight. 2 weeks later, back on the road, Johnny flying to join me in San Diego, we aimed for a fresh start. Sublet in LA, my art gig blooming, his remote paralegal work bridging to law school apps. The betrayal lingered, a scar, but scars toughen. Then the accident. Nevada again, that cursed stretch I-15, dusk falling like a curtain. A semi-hydroplaned in rain-slicked blacktop, jackknifing across lanes. Johnny swerved, tires screaming, the RV fishtailing into the median. Metal twisted, glass shattered, An impact, a crunch like the world folding in two. I came to in the ER. Ribs cracked. Concussion throbbing. But alive. Johnny. Critical. Shattered femur. Internal bleeding. Doc's murmuring touch and go. I sat vigil in the ICU, holding his hand, tubes snaking, monitors beeping like accusations. Maria flew in, eyes red-rimmed. His dad, stoic in a trucker cap, gripping my shoulder. You saved him, Mijo. By being there, days blurred, surgery, fevers, his first whisper AUS. Sorry, that I shushed with a kiss to his knuckles. Rehab in Reno followed, me pushing his wheelchair through hospital gardens, our love forged in fluorescent hell. He walked again, slow steps toward the physical therapist's parallel bars, me his crutch in every sense. Discharge brought us to a borrowed cabin in the Tahoe Pines, Maria's wedding gift, for healing. Fall leaves turned the world gold, and we healed, therapy sessions via Zoom, where he unpacked the closet's weight, art classes for me, where I painted our scars into strength. Nights by the fire, his head in my lap, we'd plan. Law school in Berkeley for him, a studio in Oakland for us. Humanistic, not Hollywood flawed, but fighting. One evening, snow dusting the eaves, he proposed not with a ring, but a vow. I betray my fears for you. Every day, I accepted with tears and tangled sheets, the cabin windows fogging like that RV shower. But the climax waited in El Paso, Christmas-bound. His family home. Adobe walls strung with luminarias, tamales steaming on the stove. Dinner was a minefield. His dad's gruff welcome. Austin. Maria's winks. The unspoken tension thick as mole. After piñatas and posada songs, Johnny pulled me aside in the garage. Oil-scented sanctuary. Ready. We emerged hand in hand to the living room. His voice steady. Papa. Mama. I'm gay. Or bi. In love with Austin. For real. Silence. Then chaos. His mom's tears. Dad's frozen stare melting to a nod. As long as you're happy. Hijo. Hugs followed. Tentative. Then tight. The family web stretching to include me. Not every betrayal mends clean. Doubts whisper on quiet nights. Brody's ghost a what-if shadow. But love's the road we choose. Mile by scarred mile. Winter in El Paso wrapped the border city in a rare chill. The Rio Grande sluggish under frost-kissed bridges. As if the river itself paused to witness our fragile peace. The holidays stretched. Noche Buena feasts where Abuela slipped me extra buñuelos with a knowing smile. New Year's fireworks bursting over the Franklin Mountains like defiant stars. Johnny and I navigated it like a duet. His hand in mine under the table. Stolen kisses in the adobe courtyard where agave sentinels stood guard. His dad Raul thawed slow. Gruff questions about my art turning to invitations for garage tinkering. Teaching me carburetors like heirlooms. Family fixes what breaks, he'd say. Wiping grease from calloused hands. And I'd nod. Seeing Johnny in his profile, the same stubborn jaw. The quiet fire. But healing's not linear. It's a switchback trail. Hairpin turns into old wounds. January brought Johnny's LSAT prep. Late nights hunched over flashcards in our cramped Austin rental. Back where it started. Full circle irony. I'd wake to his pacing. Doubts circling like vultures. What if law school's a bust? What if they find out about us? I'd pull him back to bed. Bodies aligning like puzzle pieces worn smooth. Whispering we're enough until his breaths evened. The betrayal's echo surfaced in February. Valentine's weekend. a getaway to Big Bend, that Texas wild where canyons carve secrets from stone. We hiked the South Rim Trail, backpacks heavy with water and what-ifs, the Chizos Mountains rising like ancient judges. At the overlook, sunset bleeding crimson across the basin, he froze mid-stride. "AUS, I need to tell you something." My stomach dropped, the old knife twisting. "Brody, worse." A letter from his therapist's prompted exercise, unmailed confessions. Before the accident, I almost cheated. In Vegas. Drunk, alone after the pool thing. Hooked up with a guy in the bathroom stall. Quick, meaningless. But I hated myself more than you could. The words landed like a rock slide, burying breath. We sat on a boulder, the desert wind keening, as he spilled, guilt-fueled impulse, a stranger's mouth erasing Brody's temptation, only deepening the shame. I flew home that night, confessed to Maria. She made me promise therapy. Then the crash. Felt like karma. Rage warred with relief. He'd owned it, raw and unvarnished. "Why now?" I choked, tears hot on chilled cheeks. "Because love's not hiding. You deserve all of me, the mess, the miles." He took my hand, pressing it to his chest, heartbeat a drum under palm. "Forgive or walk?" The canyon stared back, vast and unyielding, mirroring the choice. Betrayal's not a single act but a pattern mine. In doubting his growth, in the fracture. But humanism whispers, we're all fractured, piecing toward whole. "Forgive," I said, voice cracking. "But no more secrets." We build transparent. The hike down was cathartic, steps sinking, burdens lighter. Campfire that night. Morays charred black, stories retold with grace. We made love under the stars, slow and sacred, his body a map I'd memorized anew. Spring bloomed tentative, cherry blossoms in Austin parks, Johnny acing the LSAT with a 170, acceptance to Berkeley's joint JD/MPA. My gallery show toured road to self-hitting queer spaces from SF to NYC. Checks padding our joint account. We moved west in May. The RV traded for a Prius hybrid, practical. Our era of excess over. The Oakland row house was modest. Bay windows framing the estuary. A studio shed for my easel. His desk piled with casebooks. Life settled into rhythm. Commutes via BART. Farmers markets where he'd haggle for heirloom tomatoes like his abuela taught. Pride parades where we marched arm in arm. Rainbows no longer rebellion but routine. Conflicts arose. Domestic scale. His late nights clashing with my deadlines. Arguments over closet space that escalated to "Are we okay?" But we therapied through couple sessions with a non-binary counselor who called us resilient as fuck. The climax crested in August. A heat wave baking the bay. Johnny's internship at a non-profit immigration law, fighting for dreamers like his cousins, landed a high-profile case. A queer asylum seeker from Juarez, echoes of his own border-born fears. Trial week. He paced our kitchen, Tyascu, whispering, "What if I fuck it up?" I steadied him with coffee and "You won't," then watched from the gallery as he argued, voice steady, passion aflame, securing the client's green card. Victory beers at a Castro dive. Toasts to justice. His hand in mine under the bar. The crowd's cheers a bomb. But triumph's shadow. A call from El Paso. Raul's cancer returned. Aggressive. We flew south. The RV days a lifetime ago. Hospital vigils redux. Beeps. Bleach. His dad's hand frail in Johnny's. "Proud of you, hijo," Raul rasped one night, Eyes on me. Both of you. Live big. He passed at dawn, the sun rising over the desert like a benediction. Grief hollowed us, but community filled. Maria's casseroles. A velorio under string lights where stories flowed like tequila. Raoul's wild youth. His quiet acceptance. We scattered ashes in the Franklin foothills. Johnny's eulogy a bridge. He taught me family isn't blood, it's choice. Fall term started. Johnny diving into con law. Me exhibiting at SMOMA's emerging Queer Voices wing. Holidays in Oakland. Our first chosen family dinner. Mark from the hostel. Ruby via video. Maria and her wife flying in. Laughter echoed. Tamales steaming beside vegan lax. Toasts to survival. Love. The road ahead. Winter brought the ring, simple tungsten. Engraved mile marker. Us proposed on a Tahoe cabin porch. Snow falling soft as forgiveness. Wedding small June. Berkeley Hills. Under oaks draped in pride flags. Vows exchanged. I betray my past for our future. Dance floor wild, Bad Bunny blasting. Abuela two-stepping with the trans kid, now our godkid's guardian. Years fold. His clerkship in SF. My graphic novel confessions in confines hitting bestseller lists. Adapted for indie film. Kids, surrogacy dreams deferred. But foster certs pending, a boy from the border. Eyes like Johnny's. Conflicts persist. His workaholic lapses. My artist's wanderlust. But we navigate. Therapists on speed dial. America, for all its divides, cradles our story. Two men from Texas dust, loving loud in the land of the free. Not perfect, but human, dramatic in the dense, emotional in the embraces, romantic in the reconquests, humanistic in the hope that, after betrayal, grace awaits. And on quiet nights, when the bay fog rolls in, I trace his sleeping face and whisper thanks for the RV shower that started it all, the miles that tested, the heart that endured.